Welcome everyone to the Art of GA4 Analysis, where we focus on gaining insights from GA4 specifically for the higher education landscape. We're moving beyond basic tracking to understand the complete student journey through advanced GA4 reports. My name is Elizabeth Glass. I'm the Director of Google Analytics here at Carnegie.
And I am Vishwak Subramanian. I'm a marketing analyst here at Carnegie.
GA4 moves us away from basic page views and into a deep understanding of how prospective students interact with the website across their entire journey. Our analysis will help us interpret the directional trends rather than just pull reports with misunderstood data points. These insights empower us to make smarter, data-backed decisions to optimize our digital presence and directly impact recruitment success. We'll start by establishing a data-driven foundation through proper configuration and tagging. Then we'll transition into building actionable reports and performing deep dive analysis of specific data sets. Setting the stage for a successful GA4 implementation begins with technical accuracy. This section covers the essential requirements to ensure your data is clean and reliable before analysis begins. First, let's start with creating Canvas. Ensure all your pages are tagged with Google Tag Manager, with your Google Tag configured to send data to your GA4 property. And turn on enhanced measurements for basic events such as form start and form submission, internal site search, and file downloads. Utilize custom GA4 events and event parameters to give further definition to high-value action. RFI submissions with a parameter with page title gives you that extra information. Add these parameters as custom dimensions to your GA4 property to view the data in reports. Always star your most critical conversion points as key events in GA4 to view important metrics such as key event rate in your reporting. Beyond standard clicks, we can track specific higher ed interactions like application clicks, program searches, and virtual tour interactions. Capture program search terms to identify trends with potential students. In addition to the RFI form submission, capture in-person event submissions or online event registrations. Capture the full application journey from the initial application start click to the final submission. Use advanced data layer tracking to append parameters to application events, such as level or program, providing deeper insights into the types of students converting. Data can seem overwhelming. Let's take a look at some important dimensions and metrics in GA4. Focus on acquisition dimensions like session primary channel group, session source and medium, session campaign, to see where your traffic originates. Review page dimensions by page path to know where events take place, or by landing page to know where users start on the site that are most engaged. Include parameters on events, and then viewing the information as custom dimensions in GA4 can help identify more information about the event. For example, the page referrer will tell you the last page a user was on when they completed the RFI form. Monitor engagement metrics such as engagement rate and average engagement time per session to assess quality content. Combine the session key event rate with the landing page to see what pages are bringing the higher percentage of users completing these key events. Combine these with event and user metrics to get a holistic view of your website performance. One word of caution. Steer clear of using just the metric event count unless you know exactly what events are included in that total count. Now that the foundation is set, we shift our focus to constructing reports that answer specific recruitment questions. The goal is to move from passive data collection to active reporting. So now we're going to choose the tools that we need to create a work of art. Use traffic acquisition reports to measure marketing channel performance and identify where your best leads originate. The Pages and Screens report helps identify which pages or program content resonates most with your audience. Optimize your first impressions by reviewing landing page metrics to reduce drop-offs early in the journey. These standard reports can be found in the Reports section in your GA4 console. How do you know which report to use? Data can be overwhelming if you get lost in the sea of reports. Avoid this by starting every report with a clear question, such as, Which channels bring the most engaged prospective students? Determine which entry pages are the most successful at driving key events, such as RFI submissions or visit registrations. To answer this question, we would need the traffic acquisition report. Determine the necessary dimensions and metrics based on what measure of success aligns with your goal. Set the date range to the period that you want to analyze. Exploration reports are limited to 14 months, so they are best for taking a deep dive into multiple metrics for a short period of time, but not as great at year-over-year comparison. If you want to review 6 months of data compared to the previous year, a standard report would be a good place to start. Set filters that are appropriate for your school. You need to look at a specific subdomain and filter by hostname. You need to exclude internal traffic, then use traffic type. Check your reports for bot traffic from regions like China or Singapore that can taint your user and engagement stats. You can identify bot traffic in reports by looking at cities or countries that are showing a high amount of sessions, often with a low engagement rate and usually from the same screen resolution. Customize reports for the dimensions and metrics that you need to answer your question. Move away from bounce rate and embrace engagement rate, which identifies users who stay longer than 10 seconds, view 2 or more pages, or trigger a key event. Compare metrics to the site average. In this example, the engagement rate is 46.67% across the site. The organic search and referral traffic are showing higher than average. While the session key event rate is 2.12% on average, the paid search has a higher success rate with a 7.99% session key event rate. In this example, we can analyze the table to see how channels like paid search may have less traffic, but yield a much higher session key event rate compared to organic. You can also compare year-over-year metrics to identify trends and see how your marketing efforts have shifted student behavior. Narrow your focus to specific sources or events to gain meaningful insights that answer your original business question. And when standard reports aren't enough, use the Explore menu to build freeform tables, funnel analysis, or step-by-step journey tracking. You can create an exploration from a standard report or set up a blank one. You can have multiple tabs and types of reports in one exploration. So you can use a funnel analysis to identify where users are dropping off at important steps in the journey. Path exploration is vital for visualizing the actual routes that students take through your site and find friction points. Freeform reports give you the flexibility to add more dimensions than a standard report or identify user groups by segment.
Moving on to theory into practice, we're going to start by reviewing a few practical higher ed data scenarios and look at how to interpret those numbers to make actual website improvements. So when there's a question of which marketing channels are bringing the most engaged prospective students to the site, the report that we would ideally review is the traffic acquisition report, which is a standard report that Google Analytics provides out of the box. And we would also add the dimensions session source medium or session campaign, depending on the level of granularity we need. So the analysis includes reviewing metrics like engagement rate, session key event rate, and etc. across different sources like Google CPC versus Google Organic. Through this, we can identify high intent channels. For example, paid search may have a lower volume, but significantly higher conversion rate than organic search, as we can see in the screen, the picture shown in the slide. Paid search also has driven a lower number of users, about 7,600, compared to other campaigns, while also having a higher engagement rate of about 50%, which is greater than the site average of 49%. Additionally, paid search has a longer engagement time per session of 1 minute 15 seconds, which is greater than the site average of 58 seconds. The session key event rate for paid search is also greater than the site average and in most other methods. So the insights that we can take away from this is that paid search is driving quality traffic to the site. Using this, we can conduct further analysis on successful campaigns and demographics to uncover further areas of success. We can continue to utilize paid search to target traffic that will continue to drive quality prospective students to the site. Now, when it comes to answering a question of which programs or content pages are being viewed the most and have the most engaged audience, we default to a pages and screens standard report, where we add in metrics like engagement rate, scrolled users, and key events depending on which key event we need to track. Now, as a first step, we always set the date range that we wish to look at the data for. So when we conduct the analysis, we can ideally identify which specific degree pages, like in this instance, the Master of Accountancy page, have the highest engagement times. We can also use the scrolled users metric to determine if prospective students are actually reading the program description or if they're just leaving the page. In this particular instance, the Master Specialist page is driving the most views with around 976 views, and the Master of Accountancy page, which has the fifth most views, drives the second highest engagement rate of 80.74%. Additionally, users spend the most time, which is about 1 minute and 7 seconds, on the accountancy page. The highest percentage of users, which is around 354 users, scroll to the 90% point on the Master Specialist page. The results that we see from this analysis are that the Master Specialist and the Master of Accountancy page drive the most engaged users. So we can continue to analyze content on these highly engaged pages to understand which content drives engagement and ideally optimize low engaging pages with similar content to increase engagement as well. Now let's tackle a critical question for enrollment and marketing teams. Which specific programs are driving the most application submissions? To find this, we can use a custom exploration within GA4. And the way we would set it up is first establish a date range for the analysis, go into custom explorations, add in three key elements, which is event name, the application program or application round, depending on what we need to see, and event count. As we discussed before, event count encompasses a broad range of events. So we need to ensure that we filter the view so that it only displays event names matching the application submission tag, which in this case is application_submissions. Looking at our live data here, the answer jumps out immediately. The nursing transfer programs lead the pack by a wide margin of 113 application submissions, followed by the Master of Science in Nursing program with 58. But remember, the raw data is just the starting point. To turn this into actual analysis, we need context. We need to take these numbers and compare them to the overall page traffic, evaluate how they contribute to total institutional performance, and look at year-over-year trends. Is nursing always this dominant, or are we seeing a specific surge this term? That's where the real insights live. When it comes to understanding the funnel report, a funnel report basically visualizes the percentage of users moving from one step to another, which in this case is application start to application open to application updates and then submitting the application at the end. This helps us identify exactly where the largest drop-off occurs to determine if the application process is too complex. As we can see here, the top of funnel or the initiation stage starts with 783 total active users. At this stage, we're tracking the initial intent to begin the process within Slate or whichever CRM you use. However, after they start the application, we see a 35.9% abandonment rate, with only 502 users successfully moving to opening the existing application. The bottom of funnel encompasses the submission side of things. We're measuring movement from updating application to the final submit application event. When we look at the transition between the update application and the submit application stage, we can see that this is our most critical failure point. We see that the largest abandonment is happening right here, with about 74% of users dropping off after they've already started updating their details. This massive late stage gap suggests a finish line friction point. Because the users have already put in the work to update their application, the drop-off is likely due to potential technical errors or confusing requirements or something else that is hindering user experience and preventing them from submitting the application. Conversely, our strongest transition is from step 2 to step 3, where about 73% of users successfully move forward. This proves that once the user's inside the portal, they're highly motivated, and if we can fix the final hurdle, we're sitting on a massive amount of unclaimed applications that have already been filled out but are not just being submitted. When it comes to understanding funnel architectures, especially when you're new to GA4, think of these two funnel settings as different lenses for looking at the student journey. The closed funnel is our total macro level view. It strictly tracks users who follow our exact sequence of an RFI submission to opening the application and submitting the application. Think of it as a diagnostic tool that shows the absolute baseline health of the entire planned pipeline. The open funnel, on the other hand, is more of a high level or a helicopter view. It tells us how the system is doing entirely as a whole, giving us a quick big picture health check without forcing us to dig into the technical weeds of every interaction. For the leadership team, this is the view that we use to gauge overall momentum at a glance. When there is a question of how many users are submitting an RFI form, then visiting, and then submitting an application, we can use the funnel report that we were talking about in the previous slides. So we can review completion rates between steps, and in this instance, we see a 93.6% abandonment rate between visit and the application start stage. This indicates that there's a major opportunity for marketing, especially given that only 4 users out of the original 78 at the start of the funnel submitted an application. So the insights from this indicate that while we're successfully driving initial interest in RFIs and visits, a vast majority of prospective students drop after they schedule a visit, but before they apply. Further investigation of follow-up communication strategies is needed. What do the emails look like after registering for a visit, and how are we communicating with students is a question that we must ask ourselves. Ensuring that there is clear direction post-registration, including apply now call to actions, may increase application starts. Understanding the page path report involves discovering the path that students actually take, such as moving from the freshman page to the apply or the financial aid page. The page path report helps us identify site navigation issues where users may be circling between login pages instead of moving towards conversion. So there's two specific ways that we can look at a page path report. The first being the forward pathing, which starts at the beginning or the session start. The insight here is we get to see where users click next. Basically, it helps us answer questions like, do visitors on the financial aid page move towards the apply now, or are they exiting the site? On the contrary, we also have the reverse pathing report, which starts at the insight to work back to see where users came from to reach that specific insight. So it could be starting at a specific ending, like an RFI submission or a thank you page, and then moving backward to see where users started from to come to that specific point. So we could get answers to questions like, did the student come from the apply page or level specific page before they clicked on the Common App? Or did they come from a program page or blog post immediately before filling out an RFI form? The page path report helps us understand where users are dropping off in their site journey. We can analyze the specific nodes to see where users navigate after starting a session and where they choose to leave the site. High traffic to the search or apply nodes early in the journey can signal high intent users who need immediate engagement. In this instance, we see that about 17,000 users begin on the home page, which is the most, and from the home page, most users, which is about 1,100 users, navigate to either the academics page or the search page. From the academics page, most users navigate to the undergraduate page, followed by the graduate page. The interpretation in this specific instance is the users who do not leave the site after entering are most likely to navigate to the academics page. Users who navigate to the academics page seem to be mostly interested in finding more information about undergraduate and graduate programs. This may reveal an opportunity to optimize the homepage with more undergraduate or graduate program related content to reduce drop rates. To wrap things up, we want to leave you with a few actionable resources to help guide your GA4 journey. If you are still tackling the basics, our setup blog article covers everything you need to know to get your property up and running. For those ready to go a bit further, check out our webinar on making data-driven decisions to really unlock the power of your metrics. Of course, you don't have to do it all alone. If you are looking for comprehensive training, hands-on training, or a comprehensive property audit, Carnegie is here to help. Let's partner up and make complete sense of your data together. Thank you.